Jixian, the first doctor to report the novel coronavirus before its outbreak. I want to tell you an interesting story, but before that, I want you to subscribe to this channel, like, comment and share so you can get more related videos. COVID-19, the story of a pandemic. 4 years ago, the World Health Organization, WHO, declared COVID-19 a pandemic. Since the first case of infection with this new coronavirus was reported in China in December 2019, SARS-CoV-2, as we now know it to be called, has killed over 2.5 million people and infected at least 116 million. Beginning as an unexplained, pneumonia-like illness, first detected in China's Wuhan province, it has since spread to almost every country, bringing life across most of the world to a near standstill for the last year. World leaders became ill, entire countries were locked down to prevent the spread of infection and international travel ceased. As most governments struggled to contain the virus, scientists were rushing to identify and find treatments that worked against COVID-19. As infections surged worldwide, new, highly transmissible variants of the virus were identified and were circulating ever further. With many vaccines approved, over 300 million doses have been administered, and over 65 million people are now fully vaccinated. But this represents less than 1% of the world's population, and while the vaccine offers a glimmer of hope for a return to normal, there is still a long way to go. As countries, including the UK, were preparing to lift restrictions, we look back to that time that changed the world forever. Of January 2020. New Scientist reports for the first time about 59 cases of a mysterious pneumonia-like illness in China, linked to a wet market in Wuhan. The affected individuals became ill between 12 and the 29th of December 2019. On the 9th of January, WHO reports Chinese authorities have identified a completely novel coronavirus as the cause of the illness and sequenced its genome, less than a month since the first person became ill. On the 11th of January, China reports that a 61-year-old man has become the first known victim of the novel coronavirus. He was a regular customer at Wuhan's wet market. On the 23rd of January, lockdowns begin. Wuhan is put under a strict lockdown by the Chinese government. All travel in and out of the city is prohibited. On the 25th of January, the first case of coronavirus in Europe is confirmed in France. The UK reports its first case on the 31st of January. February 2020, WHO names the disease caused by the coronavirus, COVID-19, or Coronavirus Disease 2019, after the year the first cases were reported. On the 15th of February, in France, a Chinese tourist dies from COVID-19 in Paris. On the 20th of February, Iran records its first COVID-19 deaths and imposes emergency measures in the affected province. These are the first deaths reported in the Middle East. On the 21st of February, Italy records its first coronavirus death and 50,000 people from 10 towns in the north of the country enter lockdown. On the 23rd of March, following other European nations, the UK enters a nationwide lockdown. Shortly afterwards, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson tests positive for the coronavirus. On the 3rd of April, global cases reach 1 million as the US records the most daily deaths from COVID-19 of any country so far. New York City is particularly hard hit, with hospitals in the city at capacity. On the 8th of April, lockdown is lifted in Wuhan, China, where the first coronavirus cases were detected. On the 4th of May, after nearly 2 months, Italy starts to ease its coronavirus restrictions. As infection rates slow, measures begin to relax in other parts of Europe, too. On the 22nd of May, in Latin America, and especially in Brazil, cases continue to grow. By the end of the month, daily infections in the region overtake those in both Europe and the US as more than 2 million cases are reported. On the 28th of May, COVID-19 deaths in the US pass 100,000, making America the country with the highest number of coronavirus deaths recorded so far. On the 25th of June, WHO warns cases are starting to rise again in Europe, as a result of the easing of restrictions in many countries. On the 24th of July, with WHO acknowledging evidence that the coronavirus can spread indoors via air particles, it becomes mandatory to wear masks in shops in England, bringing it in line with Scotland and other European nations including Italy and Germany. On the 11th of August, Russia announces approval of its Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine before it has undergone large-scale human trials, causing concern among international researchers. On the 29th of September, the world reaches a tragic milestone: 1 million deaths caused by COVID-19. On the 21st of October, lockdowns return. Ireland becomes the first European country to impose a second nationwide lockdown. England follows 2 weeks later. On the 2nd of December, vaccines get their first approvals. The UK government becomes the first in the world to authorise the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. On the 8th of December, the UK's mass vaccination programme begins as over 50 hospitals in the UK start administering the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine to people aged over 80. On the 14th of December, a new variant of the coronavirus, possibly associated with a faster spread, is identified in the county of Kent in the UK. On the 31st of December, a WHO report suggests large parts of Africa may not receive COVID-19 vaccines for several years. On the 15th of January, 2 million deaths. 2 million people are reported to have died from COVID-19 since the pandemic began. On the 26th of January, the UK joins America, India, Brazil and Mexico in reaching more than 100,000 deaths from COVID-19. It is the first European country to do so. On the 29th of January, over 7 million vaccine doses have been administered in the UK, compared to just 25 doses in the West African state of Guinea. On February 2021, worldwide vaccination. More than 216 million people had received their first dose worldwide. After so much time, today India has emerged from the devastation of COVID-19. I hope you are well and taking good care of your health. Thanks for watching this video and don't forget to like and subscribe.